Hello, students. Let us dig inside the human heart and find out what all things are there. From inside, human heart is four-chambered. These two upper thin-walled chambers of heart are called auricles or atria, and two lower thick-walled chambers are called ventricles. Observe that left auricle is slightly smaller than right auricle, while the left ventricle is slightly longer and narrower than the right ventricle. Now students, can you answer why ventricles are thick-walled? It is because they require much higher pressure to push the blood out of the heart as compared to auricles, which just have to push the heart down in ventricles. So the walls of ventricles are highly thick, that is, they are made up of lot of muscle tissue. The auricles are separated by partition called as interauricular septum, which is a membranous partition. This prevents the mixing of oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. The two ventricles are separated from each other by an interventricular septum. The right auricle receives deoxygenated blood from different parts of the body through the two large veins, namely superior and inferior vena cava. Just as right auricle receives deoxygenated blood, simultaneously the left auricle gets oxygenated blood from the lungs via pulmonary veins. Students, did you know that the pulmonary veins are the only veins in the body which carry oxygenated blood instead of deoxygenated blood? Yes, they are indeed. The right and left auricles now pump the blood into right and left ventricles respectively. The right and left ventricles have thick walls. As we mentioned, walls of ventricles are thick because they have to pump out blood with huge force away from the heart. From the right ventricle arises a big pulmonary trunk which bifurcates to form smaller right and left pulmonary arteries. These pulmonary arteries supply deoxygenated blood to the lungs, to the respective sides. Again, students, note that pulmonary arteries are the only arteries which carry deoxygenated blood instead of oxygenated blood. Now, student, isn't it amazing that normally arteries carry pure blood, but here pulmonary artery carries impure blood, while veins always carry impure blood, but here pulmonary vein carries pure blood. The aorta arises from the left ventricle. It gets oxygenated blood from ventricle, and this aorta branches further into smaller arteries and capillaries which supply blood to various organs, tissues and cells of the body. So what we have seen is the internal structure of heart. But wait, before going to any other concept, let's see one more concept. It is the heart's electrical conduction system. Well, students, as you know that human heart is a pump made up of muscle tissue and it is myogenic. That is, human heart has network of specialized muscle cells in its walls which send signals to the rest of the heart muscles, causing their contraction. This whole group of muscle cells constitutes what we call as the cardiac electrical conduction system. The main parts of this system are the SA node, the AV node, the bundle of His, the bundle of branches, and the Purkinje fibers. As said, this whole group of cells and fibers of muscles constitute the system in which electrical conduction takes place. The SA node starts the sequence of electrical conduction by causing the atrial muscles to contract. that is muscles of auricles, contract. That's why doctors sometimes call this SA node as the anatomical pacemaker. Next, the signal travels to AV node through the bundle of his, down the bundle branches, and through Purkinje fibers, the conduction reaches to the ventricles. This makes muscles of ventricles to contract. This signal creates an electrical current that can be seen on a graph called as an electrocardiogram or ECG. Doctors use an ECG to see how well the cardiac conduction system works. Any changes on the ECG can mean serious problems in the heart structure and its conduction system. So students, we have seen that human heart is fist size, located between the lungs and thorax cavity, that is chest cavity. It has two membranes. Externally, they are called as pericardium and they are separated by pericardial fluid in between them. Internally, heart has 4 chambers, 2 upper auricles and 2 lower ventricles. There is a septum or valve between auricles and ventricles, which is membranous. Heart gets its blood supply from 2 main veins, inferior and superior vena cava and pulmonary artery, while heart gives blood to pulmonary veins and aorta, which then circulates it to the rest of the body. But then how this blood is made to flow in the heart? We will see this in our next video.